Hey guys, I'm Edward Shaw, Park Interpreter at the Carl T. Johnson Hunt and Fish Center and statewide coordinator for the Outdoor Skills Academy. I also pro staff for Clam Outdoors in Vexilar, and we're very excited to have you guys there this weekend for our hard water school. I want to touch base with you on just a few things before you get there. Please make sure you watch our video on how to properly dress, but I want to make sure to reinforce a few of those things. And the first thing is your feet. Most people get out on the ice and their feet get cold. Once you get cold, you don't want to fish anymore. And being able to spend more time out on the ice is really important, especially if you want to be successful in ice fishing. Buy yourself a good pair of wicking socks to go underneath your wool or your smart wool socks. Once you keep the sweat or keep your feet nice and dry, you'll stay warm out on the ice. So we always have a saying in the outdoors, buy the best you can afford. Go out, buy yourself a really good pair of socks and you won't regret it. You'll stay more comfortable once you get out there. The second part is a good pair of rubber boots. These are my ice fishing boots. I absolutely love them. They're rubber all the way up to your calf. They also have a wool insert in them that's going to keep your foot nice and dry and plenty of room in the toe. A lot of people these days buy form-fitting clothing and shoes, but you want to have room for your feet to trap a little air in there to keep them warm. Also, I like a little room, so if I need to put a toe warmer in the front of it, they work really well. So it's not a bad idea to pick up a pair of hand warmers and a set of toe warmers for Saturday and Sunday when we're out there fishing. Safety comes first. It's been pretty slippery out there on the ice, especially lately. It's been up and down temperatures, so you just don't know what its ice conditions are going to be. Take the time to invest in a good pair of ice cleats. You can pick these up at just about any bait and tackle shop or sporting goods store, but make the investment. These are 4 or 5 years old. They go a long ways and they last a long time. So take the opportunity to pick up a good pair of ice cleats. And they're almost a must when you're out on the ice fishing any other time, or even walking out and shoveling your driveway so you don't end up slipping and fall. So they have more than one purpose. It's well worth the investment. And I hope you guys take the time to go get a pair before the class. A couple other things. Gloves. I've noticed students aren't showing up with very good gloves. These are my ice fishing gloves. I absolutely love them. A little tip and trick here. I'll take my hand warmers and I'll put them in my gloves. I'll flip the glove upside down and then I'll put my hand in the glove. And the hand warmer sits there against the back of my hand. One, it keeps my gloves nice and warm when I take them off to take fish on or bait my hooks. And two, it keeps the blood flowing to my fingers nice and toasty. So take the opportunity to make sure you have a good pair of gloves and a spare set of gloves. That's something pretty important. People wonder why my hands don't get cold. Well, they do. It's just I always keep an extra set of gloves in my jacket, so that way when these gloves get cold, I take those warm gloves out and put them on, let them warm my hands up. Also, if you go to reach for a fish in your hole and you get your hands wet, or you get your gloves wet, that way you have an extra spare set of gloves to throw on your hands. Very important. Your hands and your feet are usually the first thing that gets cold when you're ice fishing. The other thing is a good hat. A lot of guys like to wear ball caps when you're out there fishing. I know I do. But I always take a hat with me and I always stretch it on over top of my ball cap, especially if it's windy. Your face and your ears are going to get pretty cold. So make sure you guys bring a hat with you on Saturday and Sunday. The other part is make sure that you have a good waterproof layer and for your bibs and your jacket. And also make sure that you guys layer when you're out on the ice. Layering is pretty important. That way when you're walking out, if you sweat, you can take a layer or take your jacket off so that way you're not sweating by the time you guys get out there. Clam makes a great ice suit, so does Vexilar. And this is something I pick up. These are ice fishing towels, but you guys can pick up a golf towel. But this is something I can wipe my hands off with, keep them dry before I put them back in my gloves. So that's a pretty important tool when you guys start thinking about ice fishing and stuff that you're going to invest into ice fishing. The other thing I have here is my bait puck. Now I drilled a hole in this one so I could put it around my lanyard and right around my neck. But you may want to pick up a bait puck before you guys come ice fishing. We're going to have small tackle boxes with wax worms in them for you guys on Saturday and Sunday. But you're more than welcome to use your own bait puck. If you're going to get into ice fishing, you're going to want to invest into them anyway. because those little plastic containers that they come in at the bait shops, they end up breaking in your pocket, and you end up with waxworms or maggots all in your pockets, and that's no fun, especially with all the sawdust in there. The other thing is this hook removing tool. These things are great. If you want to pick one up at the local bait shops, you can. I know our local bait shop only has a couple of them left. They're very popular and almost a must if you're doing any kind of pan fishing. And I always keep a pair of nippers right there on the end in case I need to retie something. We're also going to provide you guys with some lanyards on Saturday and Sunday, so you guys can make your own ice fishing tool or fishing tool in general. I use these summer and winter fishing, so it's a great investment to have, and it's nice and easy when it's right there around your neck. I want to touch base on rigging your rods. So a lot of people are coming with a variety of different rods. I call them broomsticks. They're heavy rods used for pike fishing, and they're rigged up with 6 to 10 or 12 pound test. We're going to be panfish fishing mostly Saturday and Sunday, so I want to make sure you guys are rigging properly. One of my favorite rods is this Jason Mitchell spring bobber rod. So whether you're tight lining or you're using a spring bobber, it doesn't make a difference. And I'll explain what tight lining is in a second. But I can tight line with this rod, or I can use it as a dead stick and watch my bobber go down, or I can watch the bobber and spring bobber in general. So this is something that is a good investment. You can do either or with. This is I call it a tight lining reel, or it's basically a fly reel that is designed for ice fishing. This keeps the twist out of your line and keeps your line nice and straight so it doesn't spin. It also doesn't put curls in your line, so that way you can tell if you get a bite a lot easier. So this is a nice rod. I also like a rod that has a bend all the way through it. This is going to give me a little bit better action when I'm fighting the fish, and hopefully I don't end up breaking my line. This particular rod has a 3 pound test fluorocarbon. This is metered frost line by Clam. I really like it because it allows me to see the orange color when it's getting dark. I have a UV light on my flasher, and I'm able to put that on, and it really glows with that UV light, so I can see when it starts getting low light. I just tied the jig right on the end of the clear fluorocarbon line. This is a nice small tungsten jig. This is what you're going to want to use for Saturday and Sunday fishing for bluegills, crappie, and pumpkin seeds. So this is a great investment if you think you're going to get out there and you think you're going to go again. This is something that I'd highly recommend for panfish. Now, you don't have to go out and buy something. We will have rods that you can borrow and try for the hard water school, so don't think that you have to go purchase something. These are just recommendations if you already have gear, or if you want to go purchase something prior to the class and be ready to fish with us. The other style of fishing that we do is called tight lining. Now, tight lining, the best way to do it is to have high vis line. Now, this is a Stren yellow crappie line. I really like this line a lot because it really glows with the UV light, especially when it starts getting dark. And all tight lining is you're jigging and you get a cadence going. And I can feel that bouncing on the end of my rod. This is a medium light Dave Gens rod. I really like this rod. It has a lot of feel to it. It's super light, and I can feel every little thing. And when you tight line, you just get a cadence going, and my line is making little loops in it. And all of a sudden, I can feel that jig at the end of the line, and I don't ever stop it moving the jig. And all of a sudden, I'm going to feel nothing there. My line's going to curl, and I don't feel anything there. Now, you guys can do this at home to practice. But one thing, whether you're using a spring bobber or you're tight lining, a hard thing for students to learn is how to properly set the hook. So, if you're jigging, and all of a sudden you don't feel anything, I want you guys to remember to drop the tip of your rod. So when you drop the tip of your rod, your line will curl to make sure the fish has it. All of a sudden, if you drop the tip of your rod and your line doesn't curl, he's not there, he doesn't have it. But if you're jigging along and all of a sudden you don't feel anything and you drop the tip of the rod, your line curls, then you set the hook. That tells you that you got a fish on in making sure the fish has it. A lot of times people just feel a tick and a bite and they set the hook and they miss it. They bring it up and they're missing their bait. That's because the fish didn't have it all the way. We always say just take a look, jigging. You think you got a bite, look at your buddy, say I got a bite, and then set the hook. So by dropping the tip of the rod, you can make sure your fish has it and then set the hook. You'll be a lot more successful if you can learn these techniques. Now, don't think you got to learn all these techniques before you get to the class, because that's why you're taking the class. We're going to go over this on Saturday and Sunday, and you're going to have opportunities to learn one-on-one from the pros. Norm Smith is going to be there, and Terry Smith from HT Enterprises, and they are world-renowned tightliners. They are very good at this, and this is a technique they're going to teach you, and you're going to have the opportunity to try. And don't forget, we're going to have rods available and gear available that you can borrow. We're also going to have tip-ups available, and we'll have tip-ups set for you guys, so don't worry about how to rig your tip-ups. We're going to go over all that on Saturday and Sunday, and by the time you guys get out on the ice, we'll be ready to catch some fish. I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys. Until then, please email me if you guys have any questions, and please don't forget to take the survey. Thanks, and we'll see you this weekend.